topic number 2, how to bring up lagging body parts, how to bring up weak body parts. Uh, Anything goes. Go ahead, Johnny, take us away.
Yeah, so with anything going, I like unless I want to bring up my arms, my biceps, triceps, I'm really gonna enjoy adding in some more volume, frequency, intensity. So I would train them more often. It depends on the body part. Legs, if you want to bring up your legs, you could try them twice a week for a bit. You're probably not going to be able to do that year round. But for like lagging body parts like delts, arms, bis, tris, I like adding them into different workouts throughout the week. Um, Now, besides volume, you got to look at intensity. Also, prioritizing the body parts. So, let's say you're doing back and biceps. Maybe if you want to bring up your biceps and your back is already huge, maybe do biceps first. Not every workout, but certain workouts, like prioritizing it. Maybe you want to bring up your shoulders as push day. Maybe start with some heavy shoulder presses instead of starting with chest. So prioritize volume, intensity, frequency. You got to look at that. Also, recovery, guys. So, like on the days that you train your body parts that you really want to bring up, make sure you're getting in enough calories those days. Make sure you're taking the right supplements. Make sure you're getting enough sleep on those specific days and around those workouts. So like let's say you got biceps and back tomorrow, you got to start prioritizing that today with the proper recovery, training, intensity, staying hydrated, minerals, vitamins, nutrients, etc. Also, when it comes to anything goes, I'm a big fan of hyperplasia. So, like, if I'm going through a phase where I'm trying to bring up my biceps, my triceps, back, etc., I'll be taking a little bit extra HGH peptides during that transformation. So maybe on the days that I'm working on my weak body parts, I may take my HGH. I might take some HGH peptides like semirelin acetate, uh, hypermorelin, CJC on those specific days that I'm bringing up my weak body parts, because I noticed that when you have your nutrition on point, when you have your training on point, and then you add in the hyperplasia effect of the growth hormone, I think that's an effective way to bring up weak body parts. So I went over training frequency, volume, intensity, also mind muscle connection. So make sure that on the body parts that you're really trying to bring up, make sure that you're able to not only train intense, but get a really good pump, get a really good mind muscle connection, good squeeze, slow on the negative on certain movements, etc. And then you combine all that good stuff, the recovery, the volume, the intensity, the mind muscle connection with your supplements like the HGH peptides, you're looking at success in bringing up weak body parts. Even if your genetics aren't the best, if you're doing all those things and then you add in the hyperplasia, it's basically going to change your genetics for that body part at least a bit. You're not going to have the biggest arms in the world, but it will help. And you could bring up weak body parts. I used to have terrible calves. Now I get compliments on my calves, and I used to have small arms. People are starting to compliment my triceps, my biceps. So prioritize, train them first on certain days, train them frequently. And also it depends on the body part. The smaller the muscle, the more you can train them. And for supplements, for myself, don't do it without doctor supervision. I have an HRT clinic that gives me certain HGH peptides. I like human growth hormone and human growth peptides, especially the days that I'm training my weak body parts.
Okay, right on. All right. I guess I should say something here.
Yeah. I know you have similar views on certain things about the training and the recovery and
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm just gonna throw this out here, guys. And maybe this isn't what people want to hear, but in terms of how to bring up weak or lagging body parts, I'm just gonna say this, and you guys can deal with it. Um, Whatever your weak or lagging body parts are, they're always going to be weak and lagging behind your other body parts. So like put it here. I know people don't want to hear this, but let's say put it here. Let's say you have great back genetics or chest genetics or shoulder genetics, but your arms or your calves or your legs, they just you're training everything. but you notice that, hey, my legs and my arms, they don't grow as fast as my chest, my shoulders, my back. Well, you can do things to bring them up, but the bottom line, guys, is they're always going to be they're never going to be as big or as good as your better genetic body parts. It's just the way it is. Okay, you can't, I wish I could. I'll have to try to dig some up, but I would love to show you guys pictures of my calves. When I was 19, my calves when I was 19 were so small. I mean, it was just like I had the worst calves in the world when I was, I look back at pictures of 19, and I have just about doubled the size of my calves. But guess what? They're still nowhere near as big as my quads. I got huge quads, but my calves, even though I've doubled the size, from when I was 19, guess what? My quads respond great. I have great arms. I got, I would say good chest, good back, but it's like whatever your weak or lagging body parts are, assuming you're training everything uniformly, equally, your lagging, your weak body parts are never going to be as good as the body parts that you're strong in, the body parts that you have good genetics for. Okay, that's just the way it is. I'm going to be blunt and honest with you guys. I've said that you can do things to improve them and bring them up. Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm never going to have, short of me putting, I don't even know, 100 cc's in my of just vegetable oil in my calves or doing something crazy. I'm never going to have Dorian. I'm never going to have Dorian Yates calves. I'm just never going to do that. All right. Okay. That's just pure.
That's
That's just,
okay.
yeah. But so here's the thing, guys, is having said that, there are things you can do. I personally, um, I understand what Johnny's saying, but I gotta say I disagree with the volume thing and training it more often for one main reason. Now, I just had this discussion with somebody, and because I've done more volume, I've trained it more often. But here's the issue: is that let's say I say, okay, let's take calves for example. Let's say I got, you want to bring your calves up. They're just not growing as fast, so you train them more often, you do more volume. Well, here's the issue with that time, that energy that you're spending to maybe get your calves a little bit bigger. You could be putting that energy into the muscle groups that are going to grow and respond more and making total more gains and more muscle mass. So the thing is that you look at like Arnold's chest, for example. Arnold had a crazy chest, and his chest was so much bigger than every body part. And people say, "Oh, Arnold was so symmetric." No, he wasn't. He was not completely symmetric. His chest was 3 times bigger than anything else. But that's part of the reason he won shows, because he was so freaky. He brought out his good body parts. He made him even bigger. Okay, so the thing is that what I'm telling people is that in terms of, if you want to be the best bodybuilder or the best, in terms of, the best okay, in terms of muscle mass, what Johnny's saying, yeah, you could train them more often, you can train more volume, but why put that time and energy to make this much more growth on that smaller body part when you can take that time and energy and put it into something that's actually going to respond to anything training hard? That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is what you should do is you should absolutely train heavy, hardcore, intense to failure, and train everything that way. And if it responds and grows, great, your genetics, great. But if a body part doesn't respond as well, then so be it. Having said that, that's in terms of training. Having said that, the only other thing you can do, during training, I agree 100% though with what Johnny said about prioritizing. Listen to me, guys. If you want to, let's go back to the calf example. You say, you know what, this is what I'm doing for a training split. You say, I'm going to train calves 100% completely by themselves. Okay. Prioritize it completely, and just, have a day where if you want to, add a day every once in a while where you just do that. Great. But don't let it distract away from your other body parts that are going to grow. But I do agree with the prioritizing thing.
Yeah, you did that. You did that with biceps for a bit, right? You told me you did that with biceps, but I know you told me you did that with
Yeah,
calves.
yeah,
I saw you
yeah. I did
sometimes.
that. I did that for, on and off for. I'll do that for a little bit, But the thing is too is that, like, if I do that too long, okay, is how much, me getting a little bit more growth in my biceps when I could be slamming back or slamming other body groups that are going to make even a bigger difference on stage. So again, it goes back to, you could pick a day here or there to do that. But in general, guys, I would just train everything equally hardcore, heavy, intense to failure. And if it grows and responds, great. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it because, like I said, you're better off getting this much more muscle mass than just this much focusing on
For sure.
just trying to bring that smaller group up, which is never going to be respond as much as your better muscle groups. Having said that, this is where okay, so that's training. The biggest thing you can do, and I would argue the most effective thing you can do, is hormones, okay? Hormones. Because that's the only way you're going to change how many muscle cells you basically have is hyperplasia, like Johnny talked about. So the train everything. Doesn't matter what it is. Calves, arms, it doesn't matter. You got good genetics or bad. Train everything hardcore, heavy to failure, intense, and train everything that way. And don't worry so much about it. If you want to throw a day here or there where you want to focus and just obliterate it, great. But don't change your workouts, just for this one body part. Having said that, the one thing that you can do, and the one thing that I did is hyperplasia, like Johnny's saying, you can't change the insertion, the origin of whatever muscle, calves, triceps. You got short tricep heads. Guess what? You're never going to have a long head. Okay. You have bad biceps. You're never going to change that. The only thing you can do is make it bigger and increase the amount of muscle cells. And the only way to really do that is, yes, you can hyperplasia a little bit from hard training and from hard training and eating correctly, but the majority of the hyperplasia is going to come from one thing, and that is called human growth hormone. Okay. So the only way to do that, if you're natural, the best thing I can tell you is get as much sleep as you possibly can. Take about 30 milligrams of zinc every single day. But the best thing you can do is take HGH peptides, ipamorelin, CJC 1295 DAC, even HGH if you got a script for that, and take that around your workout sometime. Okay. The best case scenario is taking that right before you smash that body part. That's the best case scenario. You might feel a little more lethargic, but that's the best case scenario is when you're smashing that thing, it's just getting nailed by the HGH that's in your bloodstream. All right.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah, so that's pretty much all. That's my opinion on lagging, how to bring up lagging or weak body parts.